to the Dream 100 Show, the epicenter of influence, collaboration, and exponential growth. You're about to discover the power of relationships. Dream 100 relationships. And you're one relationship away from a totally different business and life. This is your host, Michael Tasner.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Dream 100 Show. Today's topic is the distinction, the mindset, the language, the thinking around marketing as an expense, marketing and other areas in your business as an investment. And this is one of those topics that I definitely don't talk enough about. And as I've started to catch myself talking about this topic, there are times when I'll use the word expense when I'm referring to marketing. There are times when I'll use the word investment when I'm referring to something that is clearly an expense. Now, I don't want to get into semantics in this episode, but I want to make sure that you understand the way you're going to grow your business is rarely through cutting expenses. Now, it's always great to make sure you're not double paying certain software subscriptions or triple paying and all these other things, and that you don't have a lot of wasted X, whatever X is. But when I've analyzed my habits, my trends, my success, as well as hundreds, if not thousands of other entrepreneurs just like yourself, the people that are growing, making more money, making more profits, living a better life, they're happier, they're people that are focusing on making investments into their business. So when I look at this Dream 100 strategy, I just had a sales call a couple of hours ago, and we walked through the strategy, the framework, and this is for our Done For You program. And as we're continuing to bring on more and more people to this, the investment is going to go up, and the investment also has a sliding scale depending on the type of people that you're going after. A little bit more of a investment if you're trying to reach the Fortune 1000 CEOs or CMOs or CTOs, for example, versus trying to reach 100 people that own a landscaping business, just as a completely polar opposite example. And it was interesting because as we talked about the value proposition and how much one of these relationships would be worth, the math ended up being a top line value of anywhere between $700,000 and $3 million from one relationship over the course of the first 12 months. And then we looked at the investment. Okay, great. So year one investment, give or take, as we start to then factor in the gifts, $60,000 to $100,000. And the response was, oh my God, that's a big expense. And I caught myself pausing, and then I started replying to the objections and things like that. But it's interesting because I didn't do enough to not show the value, but necessarily to talk about how this is a investment in your business. It's not an expense. Investments are meant to grow your business. They're meant to help you grow. And if you are at this place where everything you see on a P&L statement is all expenses, and then you start making business decisions based off of the P&L. I want to cut this expense, that, cut that, reduce that. Where is your growth going to come from? Where is it going to magically come from if you've slashed everything that is actually an investment and then you just kind of start coasting? So what I'm looking for you to do from a mindset standpoint is that you need to understand that good marketing, any marketing, should be seen as an investment as long as it's being executed correctly. So bad marketing is definitely an expense, and you don't set out to kind of market poorly and then that turns into an expense. But if you're doing things that are just so off brand or just like way, not even outside the park because that's more guerrilla marketing, but just slapping stuff with no strategy or thought, yeah, that's definitely an expense. You're wasting money. But if you start to look at across your business and you think about this concept that Dan Kennedy many years ago talked about, whomever can afford to spend the most, invest the most to acquire a customer wins. Think about that. whomever can afford to invest the most to acquire a customer will always win. So if you start to look at your business and you have all of your different numbers, you've got everything dialed in to where you know your acquisition costs and you know your lifetime values and you know how many other potential customers are going to be referred, it becomes a math equation. And then I challenge you and say, let's say you look at it and your average lifetime value of a customer, let's just pick a simple number. Let's say $5,000. And let's say that's over 2 years. Okay? What if you were to invest $6,000 to acquire that customer? Well, Michael, why would we do that? You just went over the numbers and I told you the lifetime value is $5,000. Well, if your competitors are investing $3,000, you're investing $2,000 to acquire the customer. So in the lifetime value, they're making $2,000, you're making $3,000. But where the train kind of goes off the rails, not trail, is upsells, cross-sells, downsells, referrals, all the other ancillary stuff that often doesn't get factored into your lifetime value. Or more so, you look at where things are today and you're sizing up the lifetime value with nothing else changing. So your lifetime value is $5,000 with everything you currently have going on, but you failed to mention you have a new product line launching, a new upsell, a new referral program, and all these other things that if you then start to get more aggressive with your investments and you're bringing in these customers, these clients, businesses, consumers at a faster rate because you're willing to invest more and not having that expense versus investment mindset, it starts to change the game. But what I need you to do from a business/marketing standpoint is start to look at all the things that you are saying, maybe I should cut X, maybe I should get rid of that. I see it as an expense. Is it really an expense or is it an investment? Now, the other area that can widely be discussed is the difference between an expense and an investment when it comes to your team. And I could debate this one and I could give you all different kinds of sides to the coin. But at the very least, the team that is helping produce revenue are investments. And if you start to look at those as investments rather than expenses, what I have found is I start to make more logical decisions. So I was looking at making some people changes recently, in particular on the people that are helping drive revenue. And I'm still going to make some changes regardless, but rather than cutting a particular position, we're going to substitute that investment with something else to hopefully continue to drive more revenue. But if I were to look at it and say, well, it's an expense, it's $3,000 a month or $5,000, let's just cut it and get rid of it. I'm being short-sighted, and it's just that mindset piece where business owners are always trying to rationalize. And what I found is that they tend to rationalize on things that are almost insignificant. Well, I'm going to rationalize this $2,000 business meal because it was meeting with the prospect. Okay, I could see that. But then you look at investing in some direct mail or gifting strategies. Now we're going to scale back and cut that out. Whomever is willing to invest the most to acquire a customer is going to win. So my action step for you today is to look at all the different areas in your P&L. And I want you to download the P&L and I want you to put it into a different document and just start to add investment or expense next to it so that you can start to visualize and see what portion is going to expenses, what portion is going to investments. But ultimately, what I'm looking for you to do is for your mindset to start to shift. When I get on calls and someone says that is too expensive or we don't have the money for that, A, it's a scarcity mindset, but B, they're treating it as an expense, not an investment. I was looking at not renewing a particular mastermind that I'm in, saying, that's an expense. But when I really started to think about it and all the other ancillary benefits and looking at what it has actually brought revenue-wise by way of changing my thinking, new strategies, I reframed and, well, actually, it's a big investment and actually it's driven $500,000 in revenue in the last couple of years. And I know this was a theory-based episode, but I'm getting on call after call, day after day, and I'm hearing similar things where people they're nervous to invest because they're seeing it as an expense. They're not seeing the bigger picture. Good marketing takes time. The Dream 100 strategy takes some time to come to fruition, but it is the number one strategy to help catapult you to that next level. I appreciate you tuning in. Next week, we're going to be sharing an interview that I conducted. So I'm going to start bringing in some really cool interviews for you to talk about how people are driving relationships and finding relationships to take them to the next level. Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. See you next week.